Something that can potentially make or break a superhero movie are the costumes. And as we've been getting lots of new costume reveals lately, some looking better than others, I thought why not go over my favorite and least favorite superhero movie costumes. Remember, that also includes the villains. Also, disclaimer, these are not based on the quality of the movies. Some terrible movies have great outfits and vice versa. I think that covers it all, so let's get to it. First off, the best, in no particular order. Spider-Man has had a pretty great run in film as far as his look. The Raimi trilogy version looks pretty good. The Amazing Spider-Man one, a little bit too real world, but still not bad. But easily the best Spidey costume to date is the one seen in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. While the actual film was less than satisfying, Spider-Man looks more comic accurate and amazing than he ever has. His suit ripples in the wind, there are great web-swinging physics, and it just looks very Spider-Man. Superman has had some pretty great versions of his legendary suit. While the Christopher Reeve classic isn't perfect, it's still super iconic and it holds up pretty well. The Superman Returns one looks pretty good, although I do question the choice to have the Superman logo composed of thousands of tiny Superman logos. And then we've got Man of Steel, where the costume got grittier and dirtier, and as a lot of people have called it, Snyderized. But I think it really fits in well with the world, and it's a great look, despite the fact that they removed the red underpants. Batman has had its ups and downs. I'll get into the downs in the bad costume section, but most of them have been pretty good. The 89 suit, the subsequent Batman Returns one, and of course the Nolan version. I actually prefer the Batman Begins suit to the more armory Dark Knight one, but maybe that's just me. Even the 60s Adam West one, while super ridiculous and incredibly dated, is iconic and fun to look at. So what I'm gonna do now is just rattle off quite a few that I think are pretty great. The Silver Surfer is one of the only redeeming parts of that movie, and his look is sleek and interesting. Kick-Ass, perfectly accurate, and it works well with the film's realistic setting. That is, relatively speaking. Venom, while he is the biggest waste of potential in a film with lots of that, his suit is creepy and suitably sticky, and the only good thing about his character. Thor, while a blonde space god who wears a winged helmet should have by all means looked terrible, Kenneth Branagh actually pulled it off, along with every other Asgardian design in that film. Captain America, while I'll get into his costume in the Avengers later, everything else he wears is great. His 40s costume managed to not look campy and look pretty functional and awesome. His Winter Soldier one was great for the new modern setting, and his newest one, seen in Age of Ultron and the one that will be seen in Civil War, combines the two looks in a great way and is what I would consider the best Cap costume to date. Any version of the Joker so far, excluding the one from Suicide Squad, has been great. Cesar Romero, even with the white paint and mustache, Jack Nicholson, and best of all, Heath Ledger, who had what I'm sure will become a classic cinematic villain look. Magneto in the X-Men trilogy and Days of Future Past, both Fassbender and McKellen are amazing. Beast, both Kelsey Grammer and Nicholas Hoult are great, and most all the other X-Men costumes from First Class fit in well with the 60s setting. Dr. Octopus with his crazy tentacle arms, and Sandman with his transformations are both pretty good. Two-Face from The Dark Knight is terrifying and awesome. Scarecrow, the exact same thing I just said for Two-Face. And Hellboy, with awesome costume decisions from Guillermo del Toro. Finally, I'd say my favorite superhero movie costume is Iron Man. Really any Iron Man suit, from the Mark III to the suitcase armor to the Hulkbuster. There isn't a single one that isn't super cool, and there isn't a single one that you don't want to actually have. Their look is amazing, their sound design is amazing, their weapons are amazing, they are amazing. And now, let's shift gears. Let's get into the worst superhero movie costumes. There are quite a few here, so let's just get through these and then try to forget about them. The Batsuit from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Yes, there are the nipples, and those are really dumb, but just the entire suit is impractical and weirdly shiny and neon. Joel Schumacher's extreme close-ups didn't help either. Every other costume for those movies kinda sucked as well. The Riddler is wearing pajamas for most of the film, Mr. Freeze actually isn't that terrible, but is way too big and clunky, Bane is literally a giant behemoth in a wrestling mask, and Poison Ivy's outfit just looks so lazy. Point is, most everything about these two films is ridiculous and hard to look at. The Halle Berry Catwoman costume might be the worst one I'm going to talk about today. It is so bad. Look at this and tell me it was made for creative integrity. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I don't need to explain anything. Green Lantern doesn't have the stupidest costume ever, but it's still pretty bad. The choice to make it pretty much entirely CGI was a really dumb move. Can't you at least have a practical mask? The weird veins going through the body were odd, and this entire suit just missed the mark. 1997 Steel, starring Shaq, is by no stretch a good film, or even a decent one. In part because of Steel's outfit, which looks like a bunch of junkyard scraps screwed together. I guess maybe it was supposed to look homemade, but why couldn't he look like he does in the comics? More or less a big metallic Superman with an awesome jackhammer. Now some quick X-Men ones. The X-Men themselves in the original trilogy, while they don't look bad, their costumes are literally just leather. I actually kinda like the look, but it's worth mentioning. Juggernaut is awful, and his weird styrofoam gray armor is so bad. Deadpool, while his new costume looks like it's gonna be pretty spectacular, his Origins Wolverine costume, if you can call it that, is horrendous. He gets his mouth sewed shut. Why? He gets laser eyes and arm katanas. Why? Who let this happen? And finally, the Fantastic Four. The new costumes, while a little bit too gritty for my taste, look pretty good, but the original ones are pretty bad, specifically in the sequel. The thing isn't awful, but look at this. Johnny Storm's costume is literally just there for product placement. That is the definition of selling out. Now before I go, I just want to quickly go over a few picks that weren't great, they weren't horrible, they were just kind of in the middle. Daredevil, both of them. While the ninja costume from the early parts of the Netflix show is pretty great, the one he gets in the last episode just didn't click with me. Same with the leathery one from the movie. Ghost Rider. The flame effect looks scary at times, cheesy at times, times, but especially in the first movie, the skull had no texture, and so it looked pretty bad. Hawkeye. He's just wearing a vest. Captain America from the Avengers. It isn't bad at all, but especially with the mask, it looks quite cartoony. Catwoman from Batman Returns. It's a pretty great and interesting suit, but it doesn't look very comfortable, practical, or comic accurate. Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. It looks intimidating, in part thanks to Tom Hardy's physique, but really, it's just the mask and occasionally a trench coat. The Punisher. Sure, it's got the logo, but what's the point of a bulletproof jacket that it's sleeveless? And finally, the Green Goblin. It's very armored, which does add something cool to it, but the helmet is more or less just a motorcycle helmet, and you can see Willem Dafoe's mouth moving underneath the actual mouth, and it just looked kinda cheap. So those are the best and worst superhero movie costumes. What is your favorite and least favorite? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.